Good morning, everybody. I'm Jen Callahan, the town manager for the town of Oxford. Very proudly, the town manager of the town of Oxford. We are so excited today, I am, in particular, because this has been a very long journey in some ways for trying to advocate for a very, very important project for the town of Oxford. Before we get started today, we do have among us a number of people that I'd like to acknowledge who are here as town officials, one of which we'll hear from is our Board of Selectmen Chair, Michael Daniels, who is here today with us, and we're very excited that he is here joining us, along with one of our newer selectmen, but one of our long-standing planning board members and advocates for businesses here in town, and that is Norman LeBlanc in the back there. Welcome, Norman, for being here. We also have a number of what I call the real nuts and bolts of our town government who are here today, and because we're so excited to make this announcement, we of course have our Chief of Police, Anthony Sad, who is here, and our Lieutenant Marcelonis, William Marcelonis, who's here, and also Sergeant Jeremy Granette. There isn't a project, construction-wise, that doesn't touch also our Public Safety Division. And so, obviously, they're not only excited, but they want to learn more about timetables and things like that. Obviously, we also have somebody who's been local with us on this project from about midway, but we couldn't even actually bring it over the line without his help, and that is somebody by the name of Tony Sousa, who is our Director of Planning and Economic Development. Tony in the back is very quiet. He doesn't miss a detail, and he's constantly working with our new project developers and our new businesses coming into town. So thank you, Tony, for really bringing this over the finish line as well. And of course, I would be completely remiss on a local level if we didn't acknowledge our director, Jared Duval, who stepped into the project as it was already being proposed to the state, and as our senior principal engineer for the town had made it a better proposal, and also has worked tirelessly with the next officials that I would like to bring attention to. So this morning, obviously, we're welcoming our secretary, Juan Vega. Juan is part of the executive administration, but he's also not a person who is at all not known to municipal government and understanding the importance of it, coming from the great city of Chelsea and having been a counselor for many, many years himself. This project would not happen without his shepherding, along with Jackie Furtado, who anybody who has to deal with the MassWorks projects knows that both of these people are essential to making a project like this happen. I'm not even going to talk about the project because I want everybody else to talk about it, but I will tell you that it's an essential piece of growing business in the North Oxford area, and we couldn't do it without having these essential state officials involved. Without further ado, I want to recognize Juan Vega, who is here today, and he is going to talk about this very important announcement. It's very exciting because it's coming from a person who knows a great deal about this project and understands how competitive it is to try to get this funding and to try to make something like this happen. The town of Oxford would not have been able to do this on their own at all, and neither would the business community. And so I'm going to let Juan Vega come up here, and I want to warmly welcome him here after traveling on the pike and getting behind an accident. Thank goodness it wasn't because of construction along the pike, right? But I want to warmly welcome him and ask him to say obviously a few words and to bring the great news that he has for the town of Oxford. Juan, please come forward.
Thank you. Great, thank you very much, Jen. So good morning. I am here essentially to fill in for Secretary Keneally, who sends his regrets. He was there because of the storm coming, and there's been changes to the schedule. Everybody's running around trying to prepare for that, and they moved the cabinet for this morning with the governor, so he wasn't able to make it. But I'm absolutely elated and honored to be able to be here with all of you today, and certainly to Jen and to Jared, who've been most patient and diligent in moving through this, and most recently having Tony involved as well was really great for us to be able to work with. So certainly on behalf of the governor, lieutenant governor, and Secretary Keneally, I'm honored to be here. And it's a great pleasure to be here in the town of Oxford for the celebration and the formal announcement of the MassWorks grant to support this important and timely project. The town actually submitted this project several times into the MassWorks program, and for those of you that don't know, MassWorks is one of our largest, most important tools in grant funding that we have to support cities and towns that are seeking economic growth, that are doing all the things that they need to do to grow economically. But it's an extremely competitive grant program. And even though we have $100 million that we distribute each year, and we thank the legislature for its constant kind of allocation of those resources, we get about 100 applications in any given year. We're only able to fund about 30 of them. And so just to give you kind of a sense of scale of how competitive these programs can be. And in the case of, as I was saying, in the case of Oxford, the town attempted a few times, but the timing was just never right. And we always look at, to the extent that the investment from MassWorks is going to directly and imminently leverage private investment. And so that's kind of the sauce, the secret sauce to try to get these things to align. And so we kept running into that challenge, which kept the project from being perhaps more competitive. And then I do want to acknowledge it was Rep. Frost who then called on HED at some point and said, wait a minute, we need to have this conversation about what's happening on Route 20, we have, North Oxford, and he impressed upon us kind of this sense and the opportunity that, understanding that DOT was planning this massive project on Route 20, and how it would be very unfortunate for all of us to lose this opportunity to align these projects and make this work. And so I want to thank him and acknowledge kind of very crystal clear putting in front of us a win-win-win situation, which then made this all kind of come together. And so, we had this clear path. We reviewed the matter certainly with Secretary Keneally, who absolutely concurred with that assessment. And what we decided to do at the time was to kind of put the award on hold until the timing then would actually work out, when DOT would actually be ready to bid the project and be able to move this forward. And I want to thank again Jen and Jared in particular for their patience and diligence. It's been probably 3 years, we're probably at a 3-year mark, that we've been having this conversation about trying to get this project up and running. And I know that there were times where they perhaps were a little dubious, or nervous about things falling into place when they needed to. And so, certainly, and I also want to acknowledge my colleague, Jackie Furtado from the MassWorks team, who kind of, as well, shepherded this throughout the process. And we stayed in contact with our colleagues at MassDOT to make sure that we understood the timeline for the project. And so we were super happy in the past few months when we were able to confirm that the TIP was going to be moving forward. And so I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of other things that are in the context for when we make these types of investments. Since the application that came from Oxford, we've since kind of moved towards this new process that we launched last year called the Community One Stop for Growth. And it gives us the opportunity to combine a bunch of these programs, including MassWorks, as well as some other important economic development grant programs, to give communities like Oxford the opportunity to kind of come to one door, essentially, to one place, pitch the project, put forth your vision, and then let us, the state programs, kind of figure out then if it sounds like a competitive program, to then figure out how to fund the pieces of it. And it was extremely successful last year. We received 360 applications from 177 communities requesting $300 million worth of projects. We were able to fund 196 of those projects across 122 communities, distributing about $88 million. And we certainly want to also emphasize and talk a little bit about MassWorks as a program. The legislature in particular, in the previous administration, had the foresight to take 6 individual grant programs at the time This is about 2011 timeframe, and essentially combine them all together to make MassWorks, the one program. Again, this idea that we eliminate or reduce barriers for cities and towns that are trying to grow economically to be able to access these resources, and kind of remove, to the extent that we can, the extra bureaucratic burdens, let's say, that communities have to go through to find their sources. And so we've been able to, in the past several years, we've been able to provide funding to many communities across the Commonwealth. In the most recent round, we were able to fund 56 projects, the largest number of projects that we've been able to do in a very long time. This project in particular, I just wanted to highlight a few things about the project. We essentially are looking to, are supporting this extension of the sewer main down Route 20 to Oxbow Road, as well as a side street sewer extension down Pioneer Drive, location of Pioneer Industrial Park. The sewer is complementary to this MassDOT project that we're talking about, which is slated to begin later this year. And it's going to improve the safety and traffic operations along Route 20 between Charlton and Oxford. And the new sewer service will service commercial properties along Route 20 and in the industrial parks that are unable or have been unable to expand and create new job opportunities because of lot sizes and soil types that are not feasible for the on-site septic systems. And so these extensions will also support Eastland Partners' approved commercial development project and proposed residential development in the area. With that, I will close just saying, the next opportunity, we have the One Stop open now. So the next opportunity for the town to be able to pitch some more projects for funding in the new year. We are inviting expressions of interest at this point, which is a process that we've put in place where it's a very basic form for any city and town, any size. You don't need to hire professional grant writers for this. It's, you put together a couple of paragraphs. What are you thinking of doing in the town? What have you done so far? And we take that and then provide you written feedback and says, okay, this sounds like it, maybe it's a MassWorks. Or we'll say, this doesn't sound like it's gonna be ready for MassWorks. Why don't you apply for some pre-development funding, for example? With the idea to kind of, to put it bluntly, not waste people's time. We'll try to tell you up front, this doesn't seem like it's gonna be as competitive. Let's try to get you fit into somewhere that would, so that you don't waste a year waiting to then apply in the future. You can get some work advanced this year. And so we have those applications available now. June 3rd is the deadline for the one-stop application. So thank you so much, I appreciate it, and congratulations.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary. Before I go on to introduce our legislators, I would really like to bring attention to the fact that although the process was long, both Jackie and the Assistant Secretary have been phenomenal in carrying the water as well for the town of Oxford. And what I mean by that is initially it looked like the award was going to be $2.5 million, and in recognition, Mr. Vega had recognized that time had passed and costs have gone up, and it was solely his, I think, great decision and advocacy to the Secretary, Keneally, to make this a $2.8 million award, which is really phenomenal. So thank you, Assistant Secretary, we really appreciate that. The next on my list of responsibilities is to introduce our legislative delegation, and I know that Senator Fatman could not come today. I don't know, Kylie, if you want to say a few words. In a minute, I will just will also want to recognize the fact that we have at least 2 House representatives that represent the town of Oxford, but obviously the Dean of the Delegation, including both branches, is truly Representative Frost. I know he looks really young, but he is the Dean of the Delegation because people move through politics rather quickly. I know this because I had the opportunity to serve with him in the House of Representatives. He is very close to the town of Oxford and represents this district in particular this project absolutely would not have happened if he did not convene that meeting. And I'll let him explain how that happened and how he was able to advocate for us. But I'd like to ask the Dean of the Delegation for the town of Oxford to come forward and say a few words. Representative Foster, if you would.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you very, Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and I want to thank Town Manager Jen Callahan and everyone in the community, including the Board of Selectmen, the Town Planner, Town Engineer, and all the folks, the public safety folks who came together to make today possible. And of course, thank Secretary Juan Vega for his advocacy, for his support. and I remember that we've had, excuse me, we had several meetings regarding this when we had to deal with the reconstruction of Route 20, when we had to deal with just doing those interim public safety improvements along Route 20 after the tragedy that happened at the curve. I want to, the Baker Polito administration, MassDOT, stepped up to the plate, made those interim improvements, and with the promise that they would expedite something that's been on the books for decades, and actually had broken up into several different parts to reconstruct and make Route 20 safer from the North Oxford Auburn line and across into Charlton. And decided to say, you know what? Nope, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it as one big project, and we're gonna expedite it, and we're gonna get the resources for it. And in doing so, came this issue regarding the sewer extensions here in North Oxford. Back then, it was former Town Manager Brian Polea who first started to bring this to not just my attention, but to the attention of Senator Fatman and Representative Joe McKenna, but also to say, hey, we're gonna be digging up this road. We want to get this done. We think it would be great for economic development opportunity for North Oxford. But now's the time to try to strike and do it, rather than years later, come back and, and have to dig up the road again. And when Town Manager Jen Callahan took over, she didn't miss a beat. Knew this was an issue, knew this was a concern, had everybody working hard to advocate on their behalf, to do what they needed to do in their grant applications. And I can remember when we met at the State House, we had a big meeting. We had MassDOT there. We had DHC there. I actually believe Secretary Juan Vega was there. He was there. And we all sat in that office, and we made one thing clear. What I was trying to make one thing clear was that we have an opportunity that, yes, we have to advocate and support this public safety aspect of the project, but we have this other opportunity, and we have a responsibility to the taxpayers of Massachusetts, because this huge investment that we're going to make in public safety for this road, for this section of Route 20, much needed. We can't risk years after to dig up the road again to put in sewer extensions. People would go crazy. They'd be upset. And I said, and how would that look, even though DHCD is its own state agency and MassDOT it's its own state agency, we need to coordinate together, because it's still the taxpayers' dollars that are going into this. And everybody agreed. And I know, Secretary Juan Vega and MassDOT and everybody, constant communication on how to make this work. And of course, with support and working alongside the town. And I want to thank also Senator Fatman and Representative Joe McKenna as well. They certainly have been a part of this process. They've certainly done their share of advocating, and we've spoken with one voice to the state to support the town's efforts to make this happen. And so now we'll have this opportunity to help the businesses that are already here, to help businesses that who are already here that may want to expand, and to help bring new economic development to the town of Oxford in coinciding with this tremendous public safety project that will be undertaken soon, and again, is much needed. So I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, the town of Oxford. Thank you, Secretary One Vega. Thank you to Mass DOT. Thank you to my House and Senate colleagues. We did it. We're here. We're moving forward, and I'm very, very elated. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative. Great words, and we are, again, like I said, so excited. We do have another designee from Senator Fatman's office. Kylie, if you'd like to come up and say a few words. As you know, it is a team effort, and everyone acknowledges, you need both branches of government to be working with one another. And we are fortunate to have a delegation that works very well with one another. And they all know that if something isn't quite going right, anybody who served in the legislature knows all of the ways to try to make it work. And so we're delighted to have Kylie here today to represent Senator Fatman's office and to say a few words. Kylie, if you would like.
Well, good morning. My name is Kylie Gibbons. I'm the District and Deputy Communications Director for Senator Fatman, and I'm excited to be here. As people have said before me, it's an exciting project. It's a time where we can bring all these government agencies together. Who would have thought that we can communicate in government and work together? And so I think it's just a highlight of how that happens here in Massachusetts, and specifically talking about our districts. It's just the way that the town advocates for the best things to come to the town and really support things that benefit the public safety sphere, the economic development that's happening in town, and really just the community as a whole. Say, hey, how can we make this the best project possible? And we do that by working together. Instead of staying in our silos, we can work together, be a team here, and present that united front, and you see that in the success of this project. And so we're excited for that. Senator Fatman is sad he couldn't be here today. He's out of town, but just wants to send his congratulations to all the parties involved. The hard work is not unseen or unnoticed here, and we're excited for this project, excited for the future of it and what it means. The last 2 years have taught us anything. It's that we should celebrate these really good moments, and this is one of those moments to celebrate and to be excited about that. Not only do we get to fix things and the issues that we've had on Route 20 in the past, but alongside that bring some economic development, especially in these last 2 years where we've seen so much hurting in the economy. Anything we can do to bolster that and to bring success here to the community is important. So again, on behalf of Senator Fatman, we are excited for this project, excited for the kickoff to happen and what this will look like in the future. So thanks for having me, and look forward to hearing a little bit more about the project.
Thank you, Kylie. So now I get to have an introduction to a partner at the local level who's working very hard to continue to frame the importance of economic development and business opportunities in the town. I would like to invite our chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Michael Daniels, to come forward and say a few words about how important this project is to the town of Oxford. And please come forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. As a representative of the residents of town, I wanted to take a moment and say a few words. Today is truly a fantastic day for Oxford. The town is overjoyed with the news that we are recipients of a $2.8 million grant for our proposed Route 20 sewer extension and improvement project. This project's impact on Oxford's economic development will make us more competitive for bringing in business, positively affecting all of its residents. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the residents of Oxford, I want to express my sincerest appreciation to Eastland Partners for their partnership with the town and their contribution to this project, and for the leaders we have at the state and local levels. From the state, I would like to thank Representative Frost for being instrumental in Oxford receiving this grant. I would also like to thank Representative McKenna and Senator Fatman for their continued support of this continuously changing and growing community. Thank you all for recognizing our community's needs and providing us with the assistance, and also Assistant Secretary Vega. Thank you. At the local level, I need to thank Jared Duvall, Oxford's Director of Public Works, Tony Sousa, Oxford's Director of Planning and Economic Development, and of course, Jennifer Callahan, Oxford's Town Manager, for their continued dedication and commitment to improving Oxford and making it a community we love to call home. I know that they have worked tirelessly to advocate for this project and have put in many hours of planning and preparation for Route 20 Sewer Extension Improvement Project. So thank you everybody who is so deeply involved in this project and working together at the local and state level to basically save the town additional money and keeping our roads safe. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Daniels. One of the things I wanted to impress upon everybody who's here from the state is that when you are an actual resident in the area that will be impacted, which the chairman is, it's a wonderful thing because you can actually identify with and see how the project is going to move forward. And as a member of both the National Guard and as a firefighter paramedic, Chairman Daniels understands the importance of the community coming together all the time, and we really appreciate his leadership. I want to, before we talk one-on-one with our partner for business related to this project, I think it's really necessary to ask Roger McManus just to come up. He's been a gracious host. This is about business today and business in the future for the town of Oxford. And we are very fortunate that TC Controls in this beautiful boardroom has allowed us to make this announcement. The company has come and located here, made an investment in the town of Oxford, knowing that we are on the cusp of a major development project, which some people might have shied away from, not knowing whether it was going to come across. But you have made an investment in this town. And Roger, if you'd like to come and say a few words about TC Controls, you are a bona fide business that has a unique niche in the economic development story for the town, for not just the town of Oxford, for the state. We'd welcome you to say a few words before we introduce our business partners for this project. Come forward, Roger McManus. Please welcome.
Thank you, Town Manager Callahan, Assistant Secretary Vega. Again, my name is Roger McManus. I am the Director of Estimating and Small Projects, along with my esteemed colleague, Warren Castengray, who is Director of Field Operations. And on behalf of Eric and Chris Culross, the owners of the company, who unfortunately could not be here today due to a scheduling conflict, I want to thank you guys very much for the opportunity to allow us to host this wonderful opportunity. Yeah, we are TC Controls. We are an environmental controls technology company working in the construction space. We primarily focus on critical spaces like pharmaceuticals, agricultural, grow spaces, and the cannabis industry. We're a small company that started in Worcester, Mass. We had probably less than 10 employees just a few years ago. And through all the hard work that we're doing, we grew our company. We looked for a new spot to expand our company, and now we've moved to Oxford, Mass. And we're very happy to really have our world headquarters here in Oxford, Mass. And it's been a great opportunity, and we're very humble to be able to host this experience for you guys and everything that's going on. So we're very happy to have you here today, and we're glad you thought of us when you were looking for a venue to host this. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for telling and sharing that story. I think the Assistant Secretary and Representative Frost had touched upon the fact that this is a real, true collaborative effort. The state looks for business partnerships and housing partnerships when they're looking at these kinds of projects and whether to fund them. We had been at the batting plate a number of times, and one of the things that we really needed was that business partnership to partner with us for the infrastructure. Eastland Partners is that critical piece that came forward. I will allow some comments to come now from Logan Huffman, who is the principal of Eastland Partners. I'm sure he will look at this diagram behind us that was very important for us to share with the state as well. Please come forward and share a few words, Logan, if you can, about the project.
Thank you, Jen. I guess first off, I want to just thank everybody
for the opportunity. I can go through the list and all, but I think for us, we started seeing opportunity here in this corridor about 8 or 9 years ago now. And what we found in, just from working with Oxford and Mass DOT and state government and everybody involved along the way, for me, I've been doing this as a developer for 34 years in the Commonwealth, and hundreds of projects, housing all over the place. I have to be honest that it just the welcoming that we found with the acknowledgement and the need for the growth that's going on has been great. Sometimes things move slow, but as we moved along here, this development project is going to help us tremendously and the community, at large. Our goal, ultimately, as you see, from the plan here on the wall, is we have a large, commercial development that's coming. We have another proposed 320 homes that will be in the future. There's another development that's actually in Auburn, which is a sizable workforce housing development that we're working on. And all of these things together, everyone from even Mass DOT, slowly over time, I think with the town's help, really kind of sees the growth, as Representative Frost was saying, with what needs to happen with the highway, the safety issues and things. They've even, acknowledged that. They've said, yes, we don't, as you'll see on it from one of our entrances proposed off here, that we show what would be a future stoplight. That's years out. But everybody involved has had the foresight to say, as Representative Frost has said, let's do things now, let's design now so that we don't go back years in the future and start digging up the road again, with the growth coming. Growth's coming, and we think this is a fantastic corridor. We think there's going to be tremendous growth, through this region and all. And so everyone involved, I just want to thank everyone. I won't go through all the names. I know everybody wants to kind of get on with their day and all, but we're really fortunate. We really appreciate the opportunity, and have just found that the town of Oxford has been and continues to be wonderful to work with. Lastly, just a little bitty thing is I want to say, as I mentioned, a little piece of our development that's actually in Auburn. While this is in an Oxford project development and everything going on here, I'd just like a little shout out, if I could, to Julie Jacobson and the town of Auburn, the Auburn Board of Selectmen and all, because they're kind of an integral part kind of in the background of this. And we found that they're supportive and have been helpful along the way. So that just makes everything better. So again, I want to thank everyone. We're excited about this, really excited to get moving and get, things going forward. So that's kind of my piece. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Logan, and I will just add and then close for our speaking program today. I think what Logan was alluding to, Assistant Secretary and Jackie, is the fact that with every bit of good news for growth and actually extending a sewer line will come other infrastructure needs with our partners over the border in the town of Auburn. And we can continue to build and attract businesses, but we can't do it without the infrastructure. And they also have needs there that we know in terms of capacity that we'll work in partnership with them in the future to advance any kind of proposals they have. This business aspect is a partner with the state. to the tune of about $500,000 that they're leveraging from Eastland Partners to this project. And that is a commitment the business has made to grow 150,000 square feet, a $35 million projection on an annual basis for those businesses that are going to site there in the town of Oxford, and potential for at least 550 jobs for that commercial site. So we thank Eastland Partners for being a good partner with the state in this project, because that is what helped us bring it over the line. And we do look forward to continuing to work with the state to help build the infrastructure that's needed to support all of the growth and development we all look forward to. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been here today, particularly our state officials who came with wonderful news. And I know our DPW was here earlier, but they left because they're getting ready for the snowstorm, which I know Secretary Keneally is too. So I say let's do a little tour of the facility here and take a few pictures. And once again, everybody, thank you for coming and bringing this terrific news. We welcome it, and we're looking forward to working with you in the future. Thank you so much. Have a great day.